Welcome to the Excellent Life Podcast, a podcast where you are inspired, motivated, and challenged to live a life of excellence. On the show, I will cover topics like created for excellence, keys to living an excellent life, and living your very best life. My special guests will also share from their wealth of experience the principles for living an excellent life. I'm your host, Bola Mata Loco, and I'm so excited to be with you today. Welcome to the third episode of the Excellent Life Podcast. I am your host, Bola Mata Loco, and I'm super excited and delighted to be with you today. The topic for today's show is living your best life. I have a confession to make. Before I started the Excellent Life Podcast, I conducted a podcast name poll, and living your best life was the winner of that poll. I was quite surprised and decided to find out from a few people who voted for that name why they did so. It was very interesting to hear the different reasonings behind their choice. But the one constant was the fact that everyone desired to live their very best life. There is absolutely no doubt that God's desire for you is to live your very best life. When God created you, He gave you the mandate to be fruitful, to multiply, and have dominion over everything that He created. In other words, God gave you all that you needed to live the life you truly desire. The phrase living your best life has been subject to many interpretations, which is really why I was not inclined to go with it as the name for this podcast. A look on Instagram alone shows over 3 million posts with the hashtag living your best life, which would usually be followed by a caption that accompanies an image of perfectly placed food, selfies, and the latest travel destination, among others. So what exactly does it mean then to live your best life? Living your best life means to live the best possible life that you were created to live and to live up to your God-given potential. It is a life that is purpose-driven and not possession-driven. In Luke chapter 12, Jesus was talking to a crowd of people, and He made a profound statement. He said, "A man's life is not measured by the abundance of his possessions." Living your best life means living a life of fulfillment and impact, and not the life that other people expect you to live. It means being intentional about the way you choose to live your life based on your understanding of who God has created you to be. I came across a quote recently that captures the importance of living your best life. It said, "Living your best life is the most important journey in life." As you travel the road of life in pursuit of living your best life, there are a few things to bear in mind. Number one, you must avoid the trap of discontentment. Discontentment is a lack of contentment. It comes from a place of dissatisfaction and a restless desire for something more or different. It is a longing for better times and better circumstances. It reminds me of a movie I watched when I was growing up titled Deceptions. It was the story of twin sisters. One was married with 2 children, while the other was a very successful businesswoman who appeared to have it all. The married sister could only see the glamorous and carefree life her sister lived, without the limitation of a husband and children. She convinced her sister that they should switch lives for a week. After all, nobody would be the wiser. What she did not know was that her sister's lifestyle exposed her to some very real dangers. The unthinkable happened, and she was killed even though the target was her sister. This story highlights the real dangers of falling into the trap of discontentment. Like the title of that movie, it is easy to be deceived by the way things appear. But you must remember that all that glitters is not gold. The truth is that you are not immune from the dangers that can come with giving into discontent in any particular area of your life. There is a place for discontentment in life when it is positive discontentment. Positive discontentment is the combination of gratitude and discontent. Gratitude for what you have been able to accomplish, but discontent because you know you have the ability and the capacity to do better. But positive discontentment allows you to enjoy what you have accomplished without the danger of becoming complacent. The last couple of years dealing with a global pandemic has provided an opportunity to reflect on life. The issue of discontentment was one I had to confront in my own life. I realized that I had a great deal of discontent with my life, both negative and positive. I developed an attitude of gratitude to deal with the negative discontentment while channeling my positive discontentment towards making a positive impact. The Excellent Life podcast was birthed from a place of positive discontentment. The Bible tells us that godliness with contentment is great gain. You must continually, consciously, and intentionally guard your heart to prevent discontentment from rearing its ugly head. It is a delicate balancing art between contentment and complacency. I challenge you to be determined to live a life of contentment because you have everything you need to be the very best version of yourself. Number 2, you must avoid the temptation to compare. Comparison can be the root of discomfort, distraction, and dissatisfaction in your life if you allow it. Comparison pulls you out of being present in your life by worrying about what others are up to, what they might think of you, or gives you FOMO, a term I recently learned from my youngest son, which means fear of missing out. There's actually a scientific reason you are prone to compare yourself to others. Your brain uses comparisons to figure out how you measure up to other people. It's how you understand who you are, what you are good at, and what you are not so good at. Most of the time, this calculation is made in a split second, and you don't even realize it. That's why you see someone looking nice and you think, I wish I looked that way. It's an uncontrolled impulse. But when you dwell on the highlights of other people's lives, it can become toxic. The reality is that what you see in people's lives may not be the true representation of their lives, and that is the danger of comparison. Social media has amplified this problem immensely. I saw a post on my friend's Instagram page that nailed it perfectly. It said social media has created jealous behavior over illusions. Some of you are envious of things, relationships, and lifestyles that simply do not exist. There are so many negative effects of the comparison trap, and I'm sure you have felt some of them before. Comparison will fill you with negative and anxious thoughts that are so hard to come out of. Comparison can drive you into a state of anxiety and depression. Comparison will cause you to overspend in an effort to keep up with a lifestyle that you really cannot afford. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the finer things in life as long as you can afford it. Instead of focusing on where you are compared to others, focus on your own goals and celebrate the many accomplishments you have made, no matter how they stack up beside others. There's a song I love that says, count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. I encourage you to keep a gratitude journal, and every time you feel the urge to compare yourself with somebody else, don't. Remember, you are unique and there is nobody absolutely nobody in the world like you. Number 3, recognize that everybody's timing is different. I have 3 children, and they all sat up, walked, and talked at different times. They did things at their own pace and at their own time. The same is true of your journey in life. You may be thinking it is too late to pursue the education you want or the dream job you have always desired. You may be thinking that it's too late to get married or have the family you have always wanted. Time only gives up on you when you give up on time. It is never too late to live your very best life. I am inspired by the story of the late Nelson Mandela in this regard. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 when he was 45 years old. In 1990, he was released from jail at the age of 73. He could have resigned himself to the fact that time had passed on his dream and ambition of being president. On May 10th, 1994, Nelson Mandela was sworn in as president of South Africa at the age of 77. In 2009, I visited Robben Island, and as I stood outside its prison cell, I could not help but be inspired by the adversity that he had to overcome and his refusal to allow time and the circumstances that he found himself in diminish his dreams and his desires to fulfill his God-given potential. So the point is, everything in life happens when it is supposed to. You may look at some of your friends and think they are ahead of you. Maybe some of them you feel are behind. But remember, God makes all things beautiful in His own time. Do not let anyone rush you with their timelines. Do not feel pressure to do anything when the timing is not right. The fact that you accomplish your goals later than anyone else does not diminish your accomplishment one bit. Every good thing takes time. And everyone has a different path in life. Your path will lead you on a different journey that is called a process. And the process will lead you to accomplish your goals. The key is not to give up, but to keep at it. Remember, you have what it takes to reach the finish line. Number 4, true fulfillment comes from within. A few weeks back, a young lady jumped to her death from the 29th floor of our apartment building. She was beautiful, intelligent, and had a life many could only dream of. I felt absolutely gutted reading about the tragic end to such a beautiful life. As I pondered upon the story, all I could think was that despite the appearance of a successful life, there was something that was not quite right on the inside. The truth is that being fulfilled and content with your life has little to do with who you are, what you are, your status in life, or even the things you possess. It has everything to do with the contentment that you find in a personal encounter with God. God created you with a vacuum that only He can fill. When you go looking for a sense of fulfillment from the external, you will come up empty every single time. If you are to live a fulfilled life, you must recognize the distinction between happiness and fulfillment. Happiness is a feeling which creates a sense of accomplishment and is mostly temporary. It may be due to something you have achieved or things turned out just the way you wanted them to. Fulfillment, on the other hand, is focusing on things that make your life more significant and worthwhile. Fulfillment gives you mental peace and is not a feeling that fades with time. Happiness comes from what you do in your life, whereas fulfillment comes from why you do what you do and how it connects to your God-given purpose. True fulfillment comes when we're doing exactly what we were created to do. I challenge you to be more intentional and focused on the internal so you can live a life of impact and deep fulfillment. Number 5, live in the present moment. Living in the present requires that you take time to appreciate where you are in the journey of your life, what you're doing right now, and the people that God has put in your life. There is no point living in the past because you cannot change the past. What you can do is take any lessons learned from the past that help you live your very best life now. There's no point worrying about the future because you can't do anything about it anyway. The Bible admonishes us not to worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself. Instead of becoming caught up in the past or worrying about what will happen in the future, try to enjoy every moment of your life today. Your very best life is a life of gratitude, contentment, and satisfaction for where you are today, and the faith and the confidence that you have within you, what it takes to be the very best version of yourself, not only today, but every day of the rest of your life. I pray that you will be inspired to unlock the potential in you and be determined and committed to live a life of excellence, which is the very best life you can live. As I close today, I want to leave you with the following affirmations. You live a life of godliness and contentment. You do not live a life of comparison. You live a lifestyle of gratitude and thanksgiving. You appreciate the journey of your life even when you don't understand it. You live a life of purpose and impact. You have divine timing and perfect timing. You have fulfillment in every area of your life. You are not held down by your past experiences. You live in the present and do not worry about the things you cannot control. Number 10, you have everything within you to live your very best life. On the next episode of the Excellent Life podcast, I have a special guest who will be sharing on how to excel in leadership. You don't want to miss it. Bye for now, and God bless you. Thanks for joining me this week on the Excellent Life podcast. I trust that you have been inspired by the show today. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Bola Mata Loco, the Excellent Life Coach. And be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes so you never miss an episode. If you love the show, please leave a rating on iTunes so that I can continue to bring you many more life-changing episodes. Thank you for listening, and I will be with you in 2 weeks for another inspiring episode. Till then, remember, it is possible to live your very best life.